Hi, this is János, the channel is Real World Audio, and today I'm going to talk about some audiophile terms and about bass response that you get from your stereo or mono equipment, and how does that relate to good quality. And as a prop, I'm using one of the AudioGone discussion forum posts, and the title of the post is "Do most people prefer tight bass or non-tight bass?" And in my experience in the audiophile community, amongst my friends as well, this is one of the most discussed topics, and it is something that a lot of people are thinking about. And under people, I mean people who are into audio. So here the person who originated the post shared that he has two amplifiers, and one of them the bass response is really tight, and the other is not so tight, with the same loudspeaker. I don't want to mention brand names now. And what he says, it is hard for me to know which type of bass would I like better in the long run. The tight bass sounded awesome and the non-tight bass sounded more fuller. Curious, do most people prefer tight bass or non-tight bass? And my response for that, and for not just for him but for everyone, is that it is irrelevant to you what most people prefer or not prefer. That has nothing to do with your relationship to sound and music. It is up to you to find out what you prefer. And I would bet that depending on what music you listen to, where the music is recorded, or if it's live music, where the music is being played, and also depending on your mood, you will prefer different types of representations for that lowest of octaves. So it is not just something that one is better than the other, it is different. And often what you can find that you prefer one type for many years, and then you get bored of it, and then you will have the preference to listen to the other type. And on the long run, there's not one which is better or which is worse. It is just simply what is it you want to listen to, and go with that. And if you are undecided, then my recommendation is, like here he compared two amplifiers. My recommendation is just keep both amplifiers and listen to one for a stretch of a couple of months, and after a couple of months switch your other amplifier in and listen to music, and with that one. And what you will notice most likely is that you will have a set of music that you prefer to listen with one, and another set of music that you prefer to listen with the other. And this is what I recommend to everyone, that have the ability to reproduce bass with different levels of, people call this tightness, and then just go with whatever you want to listen to at the moment, which is absolutely fantastic. And then now I'm just going to browse through some of the posts that people wrote and other people, I mean the audiophiles in the audio community, and I'm not going to read out the names of the posters. You will be able to read them, because my intention is not to put anyone on the spot. Because for example, at the first post that was like, what is your preference? Preference is accurate bass, and this is something that I think probably hundreds or thousands of audiophiles would have posted, and however, and this is something that I think this term started to be really used in the past 5 to 10 years. It became like the mantra. So at every age, when we go back by 10 years, there was something that people were really over conscious of, or over exaggerating, or paying undue attention to, with the exclusion of other criteria. Today it's, I think, probably accurate bass wins the #1 prize for that term, audiophile term, where it is used against, at the expense of a lot of qualities. And I'm not saying that you should neglect it, but I'm saying that when people just overemphasize about it, in most cases you will do yourself a lot more harm than good by just overfixating on it. And now I'm going to expand why. First of all, because when during the application, when you apply something, it's never going to be perfect, and when you think that you reached perfection, next day your perception changes, because in audio, whenever you can reach perfection is just momentarily. When you are listening to a specific music or specific soundtrack or album or streaming something, and now you feel that, oh, this just sounds perfect, but next day you listen to it and no, it doesn't sound that good anymore. It's gone. The magic is gone, perfection is gone. Now it's not perfect. It was the same music yesterday as today, but today it doesn't sound good. Yesterday it sounded perfect, today it's not perfect. Let's not discuss why. I have a billion videos about that. Now I want to emphasize or go into the accurate bass response thing, and not just accurate bass, but accurate whatever. That when people bring up this term accuracy, it really kind of like just like blows a fuse, and it should blow a fuse with every audiophile and every music lover, because accuracy is a totally fake and useless term. Why is that? Because it means that the music is exactly as it was recorded, and there's no such thing. We don't know what is recorded, because even the person who recorded it or mastered, mixed it, or the people who worked at it and listened to the master at the recording studio, even they are entirely clueless what is on the recording. What they know is how their playback equipment translates that recording into audible sound, because the recording itself, it's either a data stream, sets of ones or zeros, or it's a modulation stream when it's on a vinyl, or it's a magnetic field fluctuation if it's on a tape. But neither of this is sound. It becomes sound when this data, which is like an exact analogy of a musical score or a musical sheet notes, and when you have a musical sheet, then you give the score to the musician, and the musician interprets it, and it becomes music that you can hear. and depending on the musician, the musician's instrument, and the room acoustics where it's being played, it will be drastically different. And the same sheet music can be played by dozens of musicians, and it will sound drastically different. And you can just put the musician in a different room, there's a drastic difference as well. Change the guitar of the musician, will sound different, etc., etc. And it's the same with audio gear as well. Depending on what your amplification is, what your loudspeaker, what are your cables, what is the room you are playing with, it's going to be about as big as an impact in the translation of the data stream into music as a human being has on translating a sheet music into sound. So we have no clue about accuracy. What is in the recorded media. I think what these people are referring to when they refer to accuracy in music, the only thing that you can refer to is that how much what you hear correlates to what they hear in the recording studio with that playback equipment that they are using. So basically, my interpretation of accuracy is that your playback system is accurate, but only accurate to a specific recording if it sounds the closest possible to the playback in the studio. But as you see, each studio is different, and even more, each recording is recorded, mixed and mastered differently, even in the same studio. And sometimes even in the same studio they might use different recording gear or different playback gear. Maybe there's like one person who does the recording, and he maybe is bringing some of his own gear, maybe his own cables or something to the mix. So you never know, even if it was recorded in the same studio, that if it's going to be exactly same for every music that was recorded there. And even if you manage to basically replicate the studio in your home, that's what accuracy means, that you have replicated both the studio acoustics, both the studio playback equipment to the minutest detail in your living room, and then your response will be accurate for one label only and for a restricted number of recordings that was done with the exact same playback system that you have now done. But as you see, if you want to have enjoy more accuracy for maybe 100 recordings, then you need at least 30, 40 or even more systems, including different rooms, to be accurate. And even so, now you have a problem that basically you need replicated recording studio with its acoustics for accuracy. But now here comes the problem, is that it doesn't mean that when you reproduce it accurately you are getting the maximum out of it. It just means that you are getting more or less the same of what the person or persons heard when they were making the music. However, there is audio gear that can reproduce higher detail level, higher tonal accuracy, better bass response, better dynamic range, better imaging than the one that was heard at the recording studio. And in that case, your equipment, your playback is not accurate anymore. But very few arguments can be made that it's worse than what was in the recording studio. So there's, I would say, because of this over measuration about sticking to accuracy with reproduction, I think it's entirely futile, and it's nothing more than a platonic thought experiment. And I think now this should be good for my first comeback video. The past 2 months I think I haven't done any videos, so just let me know what you think about bass response, and we'll get into it deeper and deeper. So for now, that was just my first introduction. Just that do not fret too much about the concept of accuracy, the concept of what reproducing exactly what's in the recording, because no one has any idea what is the extent of the information that is on the recording. We can only talk about what our current playback gear can recover from that recorded data. And other than that, just I would say diversify and keep multiple options, because number one thing, if you don't know what is it you prefer now, then your task is not just to pick one and be done with it, but your task is to get to know it, experiment, because in real life there's also tight bass and not as tight bass, and often if you go to a concert, any kind of concert, if you pick 2 different places where you can sit, if you walk around, just make it an exercise to walk around in the concert hall if you can, or if it's a rock concert, or you can move around and explore it, listen to it from multiple places, and you will find spots for the same concert where it sounds the tightest and where it sounds the loosest, and you will find everything in between, the entire range in between. And I would almost guarantee for you that everyone's, like 99% of people's preference will be somewhere in between. And it's not just that will be your permanent preference, it will be your preference for that performance. For another performance, and maybe even the same performance on a different night when you are in a different mood, or maybe different company, you will find that you will probably want something different, or maybe not. Just share what is your experience. Everyone, you can share your preferences, and I think that's the most important thing that we can do, is to learn from each other, realize and recognize that there's not good or bad responses, there's a broad range of experiences, and it's for you to discover them. Thank you for joining in. Bye bye.